Welcome back to another edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Today, guys, we are just a couple days away from training camp starting. It's starting Wednesday, July 23rd. So we're going to talk to you about some position battles we're watching, some players we're watching, and a bunch of different other stuff. Football is right around the corner, and we can't wait. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. This video is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. At Underdog Fantasy, you can pick higher or lower on 2 or more players for your chance to win 20, 30, or even 1,000 times your money in a single night. The best part about Underdog Fantasy is it's available in 33 of the 50 states. So what are you waiting for? Use code PATCHDRIVE and get your first deposit matched up to $1,000 and join the millions of fans who have won on Underdog Fantasy. Make sure to download the app on the App Store or go to underdogfantasy.com. All right, guys, let's start off with a position group that we're most excited for, and I'm sure a lot of Patriots fans are excited to watch just how this position battle unfolds. Lots of new faces, lots of new names in this position group. So, Cole, tell us about the first position group that we're going to start watching, and one that probably all Patriots fans will have their eyes on the first couple days of practice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different things to pay attention to with this group, and it's the wide receiver group. Obviously, we've been lacking that true number one wide receiver for so long. Stephon Diggs is a talented guy. He used to be a number one receiver. He's coming off a torn ACL, but kind of unexpectedly. I mean, maybe you expected it just based on all the videos and the updates of how far ahead of schedule he is, but he has not been placed on the PUP list. He looks like he's going to be ready to go for training camp and could be starting week 1. So that's going to be really important to keep an eye out for his health, how he's looking, making sure he's progressing well and looks like he's on track to start and contribute early on. Because guys coming off ACL injuries, just like Kendrick Bourne, he kind of said, I probably could have played week 1, but I didn't get back into football shape and really feel more like myself till a month or 2 into the season. So it might take a little bit of time. Hopefully he can kind of work most of that out in training camp and really be firing on all cylinders week 1. A little bit unlikely, but going to be huge to see what he does. And then the rest of the receivers, just seeing who makes the team. You got Kyle Williams, who you drafted this year. Efton Chisholm is a guy who's been kind of making a statement and making some noise around Patriots Twitter and the reporters and everything. Jalen Polk had a tough year last year. Javon Baker had a tough year. Are both those guys going to stay? Is one of them going to get cut? Mac Hollins, they just signed. He's on the PUP list to start. There's just a bunch of different storylines and trying to figure out which guys are going to be fitting in the puzzle. Kendrick Bourne had his best season when under Josh McDaniels. Is he going to do that again? Is he going to thrive in this offense? And then you got Pop Douglas as well, who's just, I think he's going to be a really good fit for this system as a slot with McDaniels. He's just a shifty guy, knows how to get open. So ton of different storylines, even just at this wide receiver spot. There's just a bunch of different stuff going on to pay attention to.
Yeah, and I think the interesting ones here are kind of you figure the top 3 guys are probably Diggs, Williams, and Douglas. But the Patriots carried 7 guys on their initial 53-man roster last year at the receiver room. Most of the time, it's only 6. So do they take 7 again this year? Is Efton Chisholm going to push for that 7th spot? Are they really going to cut second-round pick Jalen Polk and Javon Baker? So there's still young talent on this team. Do they move on from Kendrick Bourne? Like you mentioned, he's a little bit older. He doesn't fit in the timeline of this team, but he's very reliable, probably one of the more experienced guys in the room. So it's really interesting. The other thing is Mac Hollins is on the PUP list. So if he does not get activated by the initial 53-man roster, he will be out for the first 4 games. So maybe that's something that you look for. He doesn't make the initial 53-man. He's on PUP. They still take 7 guys in. You can slide in like a Jalen Polk and an Efton Chisholm in that spot. So we'll see. There's actually, I mean, it's not top tier talent, but there's a lot of competition in this room, and it's going to be really fun to see who emerges because yeah, I don't want to see Jalen Polk, Javon Baker get cut. Those were kind of high draft picks we had last year, but they're either going to rise to the occasion or we're going to know that, hey, they're not ready for it. They're going to get beat out by a UDFA and Efton Chisholm or someone. So going to be really exciting to see that progress, who Drake May kind of finds as his number 1 receiver or who he's comfortable throwing to and things like that. So really exciting there. The next position we're going to move to, it's the O-line, but more specifically, the left side of the offensive line. Obviously, Will Campbell, the 4th overall pick, is going to be in the starting lineup for the Patriots early. We'll see how he does. Obviously, everyone's loved him since he got drafted. He said the right things, his personality, he's worked hard. Let's see how it translates onto the field. The left guard is going to be the most exciting spot too on the offensive line to watch. Is it Cole Strange or Layden Robinson? Does City So have a push? City So was mostly a left guard at Eastern Michigan before he got drafted. He played a lot of right guard his first year in 23, and then he played a little bit of left guard last year. So does he push for the spot? But that left guard spot is really the one on the offensive line right now that you're looking at and saying, who's going to take that? That's the one that's up for grabs. You're assuming Will Campbell's going to lock down the left tackle spot, and you're assuming Garrett Bradbury's coming in at the center spot as they signed him. But that left guard spot is where it's going to have some competition there. Who's going to rise to the top? Is Cole Strange finally ready to take that step? And now that he's fully healthy, or is it Layden Robinson's job to lose?
Yeah, and also just seeing Jared Wilson, if he can kind of make a push for that center spot, like you mentioned with Garrett Bradbury being there. So I think Will Campbell, you took him 4th overall. You didn't end up getting a Travis Hunter. You didn't end up getting an Abdul Carter. You took a guy who has some risk and could end up being a guard. I think this is going to be obviously the most that we've seen him so far. We'll be able to see for ourselves against different competition, mainly the Pats, but they got some joint practices as well where you're going to see him go up against some different guys. And he's going to be tested early on in the season. We're not quite there yet, but he's going to have some tests right off the bat. Vegas, Max Crosby's going to be there. You got Miami. You got a bunch of different solid teams with good D lines coming up early. So he's going to get tested. So got to get him prepared in camp. Hopefully he looks good. That's really going to be just like all rookies, but especially this year. Drake May was under duress all season last year. So if he can be a true blindside protector and he has a great start to camp, that's going to be huge for this offense. Him having success, Stephon Diggs having success, maybe Kyle Williams, all things that are going to take this team to a different level where people expect them to hopefully compete for the last wild card spot or something like that, at least improve off last season. So I think there's a lot of exciting things to watch. And if all goes right, we could have a much more fun Patriots season to watch this year.
Yeah, let's move on and stay on the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the running back position. Big storyline here. Travion Henderson agreed to a 4-year, $11 million fully guaranteed contract. So he's locked up. He will be participating. That was a concern with some Patriots fans. Does he legitimately push for running back 2? I think he's the most dynamic one in this running back room. You're going to assume going into camp, Ramondre Stevenson's running back 1. So maybe even Henderson can push him later down in the year. I don't think in camp you'll see that, but does he pass Antonio Gibson? The other one I'm really interested in, Efton Chisholm was a huge UDFA signing. Land Larison was also a huge one. He agreed to a 3-year, $2.99 million contract with the Patriots. He had $175,000 guaranteed money, which is more than any 7th-round pick typically receives under the collective bargaining agreement. That was according to Mike Reese. So they had a huge competition to get Land Larison. A lot of teams wanted him. They had to fork up the money. I think him and Efton Chisholm are legitimate. I don't want to say locks, but legitimate like guys that are going to make the 53-man roster as UDFAs. Those seem like Josh McDaniels type of offensive players. They also both provide special teams value. Larison can return. Efton Chisholm can return. They can both run down on kickoff and stuff. So I think it will be interesting to see if one, Travion Henderson passes Gibson, but then if Land Larison can even take Antonio Gibson's spot on the 53-man roster also.
Yeah, it sounded like Larison was involved a lot in special teams in what we saw earlier in camps. So, or like in the springtime. I think Travion Henderson's going to be involved a lot too. It sounded like based off some reports, he was heavily involved in the offense. He could be somebody, like you said, who's not worried about Gibson, but is trying to take Ramondre's RB1 spot early on in the season. I just think you're going to see him involved in a lot of creative ways. We know McDaniels loves that pass catching back, and we've talked about it a bunch, how good of a run blocker, how good of a pass protector Travion Henderson is. I mean, he's great. He's got a ton of burst. He's got a ton of awareness. And I just think you're going to see him involved in a lot of different things early on in the year. I don't think he's going to start over Ramondre week 1, but I think towards the end of the season, you're going to see him kind of dig into a heavy amount of those snaps, which is good as well, because Ramondre's at his best when he's fresh. And when he has to carry the load and be a 3-down back, like he kind of was to start some of the year last year, it just doesn't go as well. He has struggled with injuries a little bit. Travion Henderson has as well. So if you can kind of get these guys into a nice split and have have Gibson or Larison in there to mix things up at times, I think that would be great. So I'm really looking forward to watching Henderson and see what he can do in camp.
going to be the most explosive back we have, I think. And what he can bring on third downs with his pass protection is going to be a huge plus. And we'll probably get him on the field a lot earlier than what a lot of people think. Before we move on to the final two, I want to hurry and quickly talk to you guys about Underdog Fantasy's Best Ball Mania 6. This is the 6th year doing it. All it takes is $25 to enter. First place on the year will win $2 million. There is $15 million in total prizes. If you're interested in that, you can use our code, which is right up in the top right. That's Pat's Drive. Either click the link or go to underdogfantasy.com or the app and use code Pat's Drive. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $1,000. So if you want to put in $1,000, they'll match it. If you want to just put in 20, they'll match it too. But you guys can jump in this Best Ball Mania 6 and try to win your share of $15 million in prizes. Let's stay on the defensive side of the ball. A guy that's coming back to the defense that was missed severely last year. Cole, what's one of the main positions you're watching on the defensive side?
Yeah, Christian Barmore, another guy who, if he is back and he's himself, is going to be such an enormous addition to this defensive line. He came back for a little bit last year, wasn't himself, and then the blood clots kind of were affecting him again. It's a serious medical condition. I mean, David Andrews had to deal with that as well late in his career. It's something he's going to have to manage and be careful of. But if we can get Christian pre-blood clot, Christian Barmore, this dude is an absolute menace. Him next to Milton Williams is going to be elite. It is going to be extremely fun to watch. Patriots have some incredible defensive duos between those two guys, and then Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez, one of the top cornerback duos in football. This defense should be really fun to watch this year. I just think not only the coaching is going to be better, the roster's better. I think it's so much more of a total complete unit. And I think they're going to be able to mix and match guys really well. I think Spillane's going to be a fun addition. You got Duggar and Peppers, see how they use those guys. Safety is one of my concerns a little bit, see what they end up doing there. But these defensive tackles is going to be so fun to watch in camp. Last year, Milton Williams dominated the Patriots when he was on the Eagles. I was at that joint practice, and it was ugly. And Milton Williams is in the backfield a lot. So he was the star of that training camp day. We'll see if him and Barmore can be the star of Patriots camp more than just one day this summer.
And the other thing that I'm excited about with those two in particularly is new defensive coordinator Terrell Williams. What did he do with Jeffrey Simons? Made him into an all-pro caliber defensive tackle. So I'm excited. Those two are already dogs and one of the better duos, if not the best. They're not the best, sorry, because you still have Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in Philadelphia. But those two right there are probably a top 5 interior defensive line duo.
That's
and
fair.
With Terrell Williams, they're going to, I think, take another step than what they already did. You saw what he did in Tennessee with Jeffrey Simmons. So I'm super excited for that duo. I'm also excited to see Joshua Farmer out of Florida State and Kyrie's Tonga. Those are two really good depth pieces. You can't rely on Barmore and Williams to do everything for 60, 70 plays in an NFL game. It's too hard. And I think Joshua Farmer and Kyrie's Tonga behind them are great additions to that front seven and will be able to give them a little bit of a break. Run stuffers, things like that. They'll be a great addition to that front seven.
Yeah, and then also just Keon White, Caleb on Chase on. He was a heavily scouted guy coming out of college. I mean, first round guy, didn't live up to expectations, and he's going to have kind of just a pass rusher, pure pass rusher role, kind of the Uche role maybe here, and maybe he can build himself into even more than that. But he's looking to kind of revamp his career and show what he can do. And when there's a bunch of talent on the defensive line, it gives some guys more opportunities for one-on-one matchups and to have success. So that's another guy to watch. And then Milton Williams, the snap share was a big thing in Philadelphia. Like, he didn't need to play that many snaps because their defensive line was ridiculous. So just kind of seeing how much he's involved, if they kind of slowly work him up to a higher snap share, if they just throw him into the fire and say, hey, you're playing 80% of the snaps immediately, we'll see how that kind of goes. But that's something to also keep an eye on.
Totally agree. Last one we're talking about, probably the biggest one, probably the most exciting one also. It's obviously second-year quarterback Drake May. What is his progression? What is his leadership that everyone's talked about? And what does his growth within Josh McDaniels' offense look like going into camp and throughout camp? The other thing that I'm super excited about, Cole hit it on the head. We got great duos on the defensive side. He's going to go up every day against Carlton Davis and Christian Barmore, that's only going to make him better. And that's not even talking about Alex Austin, who we have high expectations for, Marcus Jones. The defensive secondary is going to make these receivers and Drake May better all throughout camp. It's going to be so fun to watch the battles there. You already saw the Forged in Foxborough clip where Carlton Davis is yelling at Drake May to throw the ball. It's going to be fun, and it's only going to make this offense better. I'm super excited to have Josh McDaniels back as OC. I know some Patriots fans might not be, just because of how familiar of a face he is, and I guess I don't even know what it is. The Patriots fans just don't like him anymore because maybe he throws too many screens. I don't know. He's the best offensive coordinator that we've had since Josh McDaniels. Like, no one comes even close to him that we've had the last 3 years since he left. And so to have him back, to be able to mentor Drake May is going to be so fun. So I'm excited to watch those battles every day in practice, in crossover periods, 7-on-7, whatever it is. Drake May's development, obviously huge, biggest storyline for the Patriots this year, but going to be fun to watch him get to compete against not just any secondary, but probably one of the better ones in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, iron sharpens iron, and he's going to be going up against, in my opinion, what could be a top 5 defense this upcoming season. And you know how Vrabel was when he was playing against Brady, and kind of the chirping he did and trying to get Brady mentally prepared and ready for different situations. I think he's going to do the same thing as a coach. I think that's going to be part of his style. And I'm just very excited to see how he is under a guy who has so much experience as an offensive coordinator and as a quarterback guy. It's very exciting to see, going from Van Pelt to Josh McDaniels. There's levels to this stuff. And I know, not a good head coach. He's always been a great offensive coordinator. I know, like everybody says, like you just said, the screens, third down screens, that's something that's frustrated us for a long time. He's a great offensive mind. And I'm hoping that he has creative ways to use Drake May's athleticism in the run game as well as the pass game, where he didn't do that, obviously, when you had a guy like Brady and stuff like that. So I want to see Drake May be able to use his legs a little more. It's a huge advantage. We didn't really do much with him last year just to protect him, and it wasn't like a real season for us. You know what I mean? We weren't competing for anything. But I don't know. I have high hopes for this team. I think if everything goes right, this could be a team that sneaks into the playoffs. But I at least want to be watching the last month of the season, competitive football, where there's a chance that we can make it to the playoffs. That's what I would love to see. So I'm very excited for camp. I think there's so many different storylines to watch, and I can't wait to see them start to battle it out.
And spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Forged in Foxborough episode 2, I know you haven't, I won't spoil it too much. Doug Marrone actually said one of the reasons he came and was so interested in coming to New England was because of Josh McDaniels' offense. So he has that aurora, he has that, like, clout behind him as an offensive play caller, his innovative. He's a great offensive play caller in the NFL. Being a head coach is hard. You have to handle all this other stuff. You're the face of the franchise from a head coaching standpoint. You talk about who's been one of the most successful play callers in the NFL in the last, decade and stuff. Yes, he had Tom Brady, but he's still been very good, and he knows how to scheme up an offense or a defense. He knows how to call the right stuff and make it very quarterback friendly. So he's going to be a huge upgrade. But super excited. Training camp starts again Wednesday, July 23rd. We're going to come up with more clips and probably even a live sometime halfway through camp, a couple days into camp, or whenever we can find time. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts on position battles, players you're excited to watch, and tune into that live when we do go, so we can talk some Patriots football. But it's right around the corner. Super excited. Hopefully some of you guys get to go to training camp this year. I know I won't be. Cole said it will be the first time in a couple years. He hasn't, but if you guys do, hopefully you enjoy it. So we'll see you guys next time.